Hi guys. I'm extremely nervous right now because this is my first real live stream. And I've never done this before, but I always wanted to make one of those, shared screen videos that I always see. And so I'm trying now. Wait a minute. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about today is this very interesting theory I just recently came across called the theory of multiple intelligences, which, as you can read on Wikipedia, is it proposes the differentiation of human intelligence into specific modalities of intelligence rather than defining intelligence as a single general ability. The theory has been criticized by mainstream psychology for its lack of empirical evidence and its dependence on subjective judgment. And so you can see it has something in common with the MBTI, right? But I think it's a pretty solid theory, and it stems from the book Frames of Mind, the theory of multiple intelligences, from 1983 by Howard Gardner. There are, at least 8 different types of intelligence that Howard Gardner made out to be, like specific abilities that relate to, a certain aspect of the mind, or a certain kind of intelligence, right? So and I thought, when I came across this and read about the different types, I thought they could very well be, combined with, or rather you could relate certain MBTI types to certain types of intelligence, or maybe even more, the cognitive functions could be associated with the different types of intelligences. And that's what I want to try in this live stream. And so, let's just start with the first kind of intelligence, shall we? And as it says here, it's the musical, rhythmic, and harmonic kind of intelligence. This area of intelligence with sensitivity to the sounds, rhythms, and tones of music. People with musical intelligence normally have good pitch or might possess absolute pitch and are able to sing, play musical instruments, and compose music. They have sensitivity to rhythm, tone, melody, or timbre. So I guess there are some certain types, as well as, cognitive functions that come to mind when I read this, right? So I think the ISFP is known to be a very artistic type, and ISFPs, I think, are often, also heavily into music and, making their own music, playing guitar or whatever. And but on the other hand, the sensitivity to sounds, rhythms, and tones, I think there's also something introverted sensing like about this, right? So to have this is to have like this very detailed and precise, differentiation also between the different tones and so on. I think there's something introverted sensing like about this. Yeah, let's just move on to the next type of intelligence, which is the spatial intelligence. This area deals with spatial judgment and the ability to visualize with the mind's eye. It is one of the 3 factors. Okay, I don't know what that means. It's one of the factors in the hierarchical model of intelligence. Okay. So the first type I thought of with this kind of intelligence was actually the ENTJ, because, visualizing with the mind's eye sounds NI like, introverted intuition like, but then again, there might be some extroverted thinking involved in this also, but I'm really not sure about this one. Like, I think there could also a point could be made for this being more of a NETI ability also, but in generally speaking, I think this is more, the NT types, right, who possess this kind of intelligence. Okay, let's move on to the linguistic and verbal intelligence. People with high verbal linguistic intelligence display a facility with words and languages. They are typically good at reading, writing, telling stories, and memorizing words along with dates. Okay, so I guess the first type that came to my mind was actually the ENTP, because they are known to be, great at debating people and having a way with words, right? But generally speaking, all the NF types and maybe also N types in general, I think are really into or can be really into, words and language and poetry, or all the different types of verbal expression. Next one is pretty obvious, I think. It's the logical, mathematical kind of intelligence. This area has to do with logic, abstractions, reasoning, numbers, and critical thinking. This also has to do with having the capacity to understand the some kind of causal system. So, give me a second. Yeah, right. So, obviously, this is describing firstly all the T types, the thinking types in general, more so than the feeling types, probably. And furthermore, of course, it's probably also an NT type of thing. And, like the first 2 types that come to mind hearing this, of course, are the INTP and the INTJ, I think. Right. Let's move on. The bodily kinesthetic intelligence. The core elements of the bodily kinesthetic intelligence are control of one's bodily motions and the capacity to handle objects skillfully. Gardner elaborates to say that this also includes a sense of timing, a clear sense of the goal of a physical action, along with the ability to train responses. People who have high bodily kinesthetic intelligence should be generally good at physical activities such as sports, dance, and making things. Gardner believes that careers that suit those with high bodily kinesthetic intelligence include athletes, dancers, musicians, actors, builders, police officers, and soldiers. Yeah. So at first, this kind of screams SE to me, but then again, there's also an SI element to it, right? Extroverted sensing as well as introverted sensing. More so extroverted sensing, though, I guess, based on this description. So the ESFP and the ESTP would come to mind. But yeah, also, I guess SI types can also have this, control of one's bodily motions and capacity to handle objects skillfully. I think that can also be an SI quality. Yeah, so also the careers they included athletes, dancers, musicians, actors, builders, police officers, and soldiers remind me of the SP as well as the SJ types, right? Okay, let's move on to the interpersonal intelligence, also known as social intelligence or social skills, right? In theory, individuals who have high interpersonal intelligence are characterized by their sensitivity to others' moods, feelings, temperaments, motivations, and their ability to cooperate, to work as part of a group. According to Gardner in How Are Kids Smart? Multiple Intelligences in the Classroom, inter- and intrapersonal intelligence is often misunderstood with being extroverted or liking other people. But those with high interpersonal intelligence communicate effectively and empathize easily with others and may be either leaders or followers. They often enjoy discussion and debate. Gardner has equated this with emotional intelligence of Goleman. Gardner believes that careers that suit those with high interpersonal intelligence include salespersons, politicians, managers, teachers, lecturers, counselors, and social workers. So obviously, this kind of intelligence would be directly linked to FE, extroverted feeling, right? And so the first two types to come in mind with this are the ENFJ and the ESFJ. But then again, types like us INFJs with secondary extroverted feeling might also possess a lot of interpersonal intelligence because, as it says, it's not. It doesn't have to mean being extroverted in general. So INFJs and ISFJs might also possess a lot of this. And yeah, I guess that's it. The intrapersonal intelligence has to do with introspective and self-reflective capacities. This refers to having a deep understanding of the self, what one's strengths or weaknesses are, what makes one unique, being able to predict one's own reactions or emotions. And so the first thing that comes to mind is FI, right? Introverted feeling, or just types with high introverted feeling in their function stack. So the INFP, of course, but also the ENFP. I had an interesting thought about this yesterday, I think. I was asking myself, like, if INFPs might be like too close to their own feelings sometimes, because it's their own their first function to reflect them reflect on them as well as ENFPs can. In some weird way, I think that ENFPs might be actually one of the most self-reflective types. Yeah. I think ISFPs are also pretty good at that. I really think ISFPs are often underrated in this area of interpersonal intelligence. Yeah, let's move on. So, naturalistic intelligence, I think, is one of the most interesting parts of this theory, because it's kind of very special, very specific. Okay, not part of Gardner's original seven naturalistic intelligence was proposed by him in 1995. If I were to rewrite frames of mind today, I would probably add an 8th intelligence. The intelligence of the naturalist. It seems to me that the individual who is readily able to recognize flora and fauna, to make other consequential distinctions in the natural world, and to use this ability productively in hunting, in farming, in biological science, is exercising an important intelligence, and one that is not adequately encompassed in the current list. This area has to do with nurturing and relating information to one's natural surroundings. Examples include classifying natural forms such as animal and plant species, and rocks and mountain types. This ability was clearly of value in our evolutionary past as hunters, gatherers, and farmers. It continues to be central in such roles as botanist or chef. Okay. This sort of ecological receptiveness is deeply rooted in a sensitive, ethical, and holistic understanding of the world and its complexities, including the role of humanity within the greater ecosphere. So I think that's pretty fascinating, this description. And there are, of course, again, different, I think, aspects of different functions involved in this, but there is a lot of SI, I think, to it, a lot of introverted sensing, because of this, how it says, classifying and differentiating those natural things or impressions, like the material, essential, and natural world, basically. But yeah, there's SI to it. There's also like TI to it. Also extroverted sensing, of course, when we talk about hunting and farming, for example. I don't know. I think it's hard to pinpoint like which one or two types would resonate with this the most, this kind of intelligence. But I think it might be something about this, made me think of ISTJ or ESTJ. But I think ISTPs also have this ability to tune in with the natural world a lot. So I'm not sure about this one. Okay. Now, the last kind of intelligence I'm going to talk about here, the existential or spiritual intelligence, is, of course, the one that I think INFJs would resonate with the most. But in general, it's probably linked a lot to introverted intuition. And yeah, it says here, Gardner did not want to commit to a spiritual intelligence, but suggested that an existential intelligence may be a useful construct also proposed after the original aids in his 1999 book. The hypothesis of an existential intelligence has been further explored by educational research. Yeah. So, what is it that I wanted to say? Yeah, it's linked to, I think, INFJs and NI in general. And I'd love to know more about the further exploration of this, how spiritual intelligence is described. Maybe I'll make another video on this if I find out more. Yeah, so so there are also, you know, I think people try to come up with, you know, even more types of intelligence regularly, possibly, and yeah, of course, you could think of a lot of other categories of intelligence too, but I think most of them are, many we can think of might be, you know, just combinations of several of those basic types of intelligence. So it says here, in January 2016, Gardner mentioned in an interview with Big Think that he is considering adding the teaching pedagogical intelligence, which allows us to be able to teach successfully to other people. In the same interview, he explicitly refused some other suggested intelligences like humor, cooking, and sexual intelligence. Professor N.B. Adams argues that based on Gardner's definition of multiple intelligences, digital intelligence, a meta-intelligence composed of many other identified intelligences, and stemmed from human interactions with digital computers, now exists. So, as it also says there, I too think that, you know, those other types of intelligences one can observe or describe might mostly be, meta intelligences, or intelligences that stem from the combination or synthesis of different types of areas and intelligence. So, yeah, I think that's all for now and for today and for my first real live stream. And I hope this wasn't too embarrassing for me. I think it's okay. And yeah, as always, feel free to like this video and comment. And till the next time, bye.